Okay, sure. I have started the recording, so you can begin.
Okay, great. So take control and then I can navigate the slides maybe. So are you guys seeing the agenda slide?
Yes, you have control.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for joining. Sorry for the technical difficulties this afternoon and this morning, whichever one it is, this lunch hour. We are today talking about App Innovation, which is a solution assessment that's provided by Tallan. We're going to start off with just a little bit of a welcome introduction, and then we'll go into what the App Innovate is, a little bit about the program and how it works. And then we're going to go into some of the specifics of the program, what the deliverables are, what the process that we go through is, and what the tools that we use are. And then finally, we'll close with some Q&A at the end. So my name is Ben Dewey. I'm our VP of Apps and Experiences at Tallan. I focus on all of our custom application development as well as our user experience design. We work on any new application envisioning, if it's a cloud native, sort of application that you're just envisioning from scratch, or any of these solution assessments, which are designed to look at your current applications and help assess them as part of your migration to the cloud. So a little bit just about the solution assessment program in general. Microsoft has a number of different programs that they call their solution assessments. All your account reps should be aware of them. That's a very commonly used program, but it really is designed to help you take your customer or take your applications and move them to the cloud, and help you on your modernization journey to the cloud. These programs are designed to kind of meet you wherever you are in your journey. So if you're just starting out, they have some more landing zone and foundational solution assessments. If you're looking to just take some of your applications over, then that's where these application innovations come in. Or there's also an app modernization program if you're looking at your entire portfolio. There's also some DPI 30 program, which is a data platform in 30 days. If you're looking to now, modernize your data platform to something beyond SSIS into more of the data lakes and the pipeline streaming that you can set up within Azure. And then there's also, if you've been starting to use Azure and you're wanting to do a security assessment, that's also a solution assessment that's provided. So today we're going to be talking about the application innovation solution assessment, and I always like to start off with this slide, which is about really that foundational slide about the cloud. So originally, most of the applications and software was designed and built on premise. When you have an application that's built on premises, then you have to pay for all the servers and you have to pay for the largest amount that you might possibly need. The big scenario was always in e-commerce where you had to have enough servers to support your Black Friday, Christmas rush, but then most of the year they were sitting around doing nothing, kind of wasting space, but you had to pay for them. In addition, you're managing everything about the switches, everything about the networking, all the load balancer and communication out to the public, as well as any of the operating system and updates that need to happen to the operating system. If we just look at IaaS, which was really the kind of the introduction to the cloud, is really hosting virtual machines out there. Took a lot of the management of the infrastructure as well as some of the server, virtualization side out of the hands of you as the business, and allowed you to kind of offload that to the vendor and have it be fully managed by the vendor. The sweet spot that we're really aiming for as part of this app innovation is the platform as a service, where everything is offloaded to the vendor to be managed. They're managing everything about the networking, the servers, as well as the actual operating system and virus updates and Windows updates that need to be done to the operating system itself. So all you have to focus on is just the application and the data. On the farthest side, it's something that will come up, is more software as a service. That's where you're really just offloading everything to another third party. If you look at something like email nowadays, it's oftentimes easier just to move over to Office 365 and have that email service just provided that you just log in to another provider for it. So talking about the approach to an App Innovate, we follow the same approach for all of our projects. We focus a lot on the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework. It's our kind of guiding principle for how we approach these. And it really starts off with understanding a vision and creating a roadmap for you. So Depending on where you're at in your journey, we help to understand what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are. If your goals are cost reduction, if your goals are to be able to scale up and scale down, we understand what you're trying to achieve with your mission to move to the cloud. And we help design a roadmap to get you there and get your most critical applications deployed into the cloud. From there, if we need to do any sort of a proof of concept or test out anything from a performance perspective, we'll do that, make sure everything's ready to go. And we currently have a solid kind of plan to get you there. And then we focus on building out a foundation and kind of getting an MVP deployed out there so that you can see it. So you can see how the networking is set up and so you can see how the application's communicating. Finally, from there, we go into our migration and innovation, making the application changes that need to be made, getting all your applications moved over to the cloud. And then we end all of our projects with operationalizing them, making sure that they're secured, they're governed, they have the right level of access that need to be provided and the right level of monitoring and support associated with them. So if we look at kicking off that large process of moving a customer to the cloud, it really starts with this app innovation. So what we do is we work with you to understand. Go to the next slide, actually. So the App Innovate is funded by Microsoft. I skipped a piece of this slide. If we do want to do a proof of concept, we can also end these with a program called our App in 30, which allows us to help create a proof of concept within 30 days. That's relatively scoped to that timeline and allows us to really show off the benefits of the cloud. The next slide here talks about the app innovation. So there's 3 phases of our application innovation solution assessment. The first one is our planning phase, and that's where we have discovery meetings with you to understand, again, where you're trying to go and what your goals are. We also do an identification of an as-is architecture for up to 1 to 5 applications. So we understand how it's currently deployed, what it's currently using, if it's a web application, what language it's using, what kind of where the code base is stored, how it works. We then use a static code analysis tool called Cloud Pilot. That tool allows us to take your code base and analyze it for anything that would not work properly in a platform as a service environment or other IaaS environments as well. With this tool, as well as our kind of understanding of the cloud and cloud patterns that are available to you, we move into our second phase, which is having working sessions with you, training a little bit, small training sessions around what some of the technologies may be if we're looking to introduce any new technologies that the cloud has to offer. And then coming up with a 2B architecture where we essentially transform what your application looks like and into a cloud native application that has all the benefits that you're looking to do based on the goals that we discussed. We'll also help you set up a roadmap. So in addition to telling us the things that might cause us to kind of have a stumbling block as we're moving to the cloud, it also helps us understand the scope of that effort. So we understand based on that scope what the roadmap might look like, what a timeline to get the applications updated and moved over would be. And then we also understand the Azure costs to running that infrastructure out in the cloud. So you can take a look at this future state architecture and then see the cost that would be associated with running all of that application. Our final phase is our third phase, which is actually producing and reviewing the modernization plan with you. At this point, we share all of our project deliverables. We give it to you in a nice package. We provide an executive presentation, and then we also, as part of that report, give you an understanding of the application's disposition and kind of what we recommend in terms of its migration plan to the cloud. At the end there, you see our kind of phase 4, and that just really means at the end of this, we always look to help you kick that off and help you move forward. We'd love to help you do the migration, but there's also the cloud and app in 30, which allows us to focus on just doing proof of concept and any other sort of work that can conclude from there or that can evolve from there. In terms of the deliverables, like I mentioned, the vision and the roadmap being the 2 big components there. From a vision perspective, we have an executive summary as well as that as-is architecture to really understand kind of where you're going. The Cloud Adoption Framework Gap Analysis is a wonderful survey that helps you understand your organization's maturity and helps you understand the goals there based on the maturity and where you're trying to go. On the roadmap side is where we look at that that future state architecture that gives us an understanding of where you're looking to go from an application architecture perspective. Any of the recommended licensing and cloud charges and to run that future state architecture would include as part of that roadmap, as well as our kind of migration and modernization plan in order to get you there. Okay. This next slide is a sample of those types of deliverables. So this here is the sample deliverable for the Azure costs that will come out of the Cloud Pilot tool. Allows you to really easily see the different types of costing that you would get based on how you plan on consuming Azure. So if you're just going with the traditional pay-as-you-go, they also have a pay-as-you-go with this what's called a hub, which is Azure Hybrid Benefit, which allows you to retain your licenses that you may have on-prem and reuse those in the cloud, and offers a significant cost savings for some of your Windows and SQL Server investments. This next slide is our Cloud Pilot tool. This is the one that lets us know where your application sits in terms of its readiness to move to the cloud. You'll notice in the middle here, the green and red bar charts. Those represent a readiness score that the tool provides for your application in 3 different levels. So the first one is your app service readiness, which is typically what we're looking to target in terms of our platform as a service architecture. The second 2, the middle one is more container readiness, and the last one is virtual machine readiness. So virtual machine readiness would line up with that infrastructure as a service offering that we mentioned. We'll sometimes recommend this for lower priority applications or things that aren't really worth the longer term investment for a full modernization. And then container readiness is a great option if you as an organization have things that are already fairly stateless and you're looking for some possible cloud agnostic functionality or cloud agnostic abilities. Container may be a good option, and we certainly have customers that choose that route. So I want to take a moment here just to talk a little bit about a couple examples here. This first example is the Connecticut Department of Health. We worked very closely with them on their data to care surveillance program. They had a lot of manual processes there, which were focused on taking lab and ingestion data, processing the data typically in paper formats, getting that information out to the team so that they could actually go direct to the patient and provide the care that they needed, and sometimes even notifications that they didn't even know that they were currently HIV positive. We were able to work with them and modernize a number of their applications and bring them from something that would take a possible month to get the paperwork processing done, to something that was within less than a week that we'd be able to automatically process all of the documents and get them sent over and get the information to the people that could go out on the streets and make those notifications. The next example, funding here. Oh, okay. Are you guys seeing the Massachusetts one?
Yes, we can see it, Ben.
Okay. So our next example is the Massachusetts State Legislature. We worked very closely with them on a number of different modernization exercises for their applications. We focused primarily around bill drafting with them. So anytime they needed to make amendments or adjustments to any of the bills within the State House, they had a way to track the changes to the documents and make sure that everything was, they had source control and version history of everything that was changed and modified. There was also a tool around agenda management, which once those bills had been modified and needed to be addressed and voted on the floor, they would need to be put on the docket as part of that agenda management. And then we also worked with them on a number of public-facing websites that had exposed that data and allowed them to present information to the constituents so they could see when various topics were being discussed by their representatives. The last one here is a company called Amerisure. We worked with them on an app innovation assessment. And they had an older legacy Oracle database that they weren't able to move into the cloud, but they still wanted to move a lot of their application investments over. So we were allowed to set up, we were able to set up a hybrid architecture for them where they were able to keep some of their investment on-prem and move their applications into the cloud. With this, they were actually able to, one of the big benefits as we're doing these architectures is to make sure that the data is co-located. So we're having our applications speak to things that are nearby in terms of data centers, so they don't have to introduce any lag or performance issues to the applications. In this case, they had one piece of the code that was extremely chatty to the data warehouse, and given that information would be going across the VPN, part of our recommendation was to extract some of that code that was particularly chatty across to the data warehouse, leave a portion of an application and build an API on-prem that handled all that chattiness and was able to just be a single API call across the VPN to allow that hybrid connectivity to kind of remain fairly free of needless traffic. So that is that Amerisure assessment. I think with that, screen again. So are three really good examples, I think, of that we've worked very closely with these solution assessments on. If you are interested in getting started, you are more than welcome to contact any of us at Tallan. We have a number of different programs that we can walk you through in addition to our solution assessment or our application innovation. You can also speak with your Microsoft representatives. All of the solution specialists as well as the account managers are very familiar with these programs. They work regularly with us as a partner to help their customers move to the cloud, and we really work very closely with them to make sure that you guys have what you need to make that migration a success. With that, I'll kind of open it up to any Q&A. If anyone has any questions, again, I apologize for the technical difficulty. Hopefully it worked out okay. Any kind of questions?